Hello, everyone. In today's episode, I'm joined with Chris, and in today's episode, me and Chris are going to be talking about chronic illness. And today, Chris has diabetes, so we're going to hear a little bit about that and a podcast that he helps runs as well. So, thank you, Chris, for coming on today.
I appreciate it, Mason. Thanks for having me. Come and chat about chronic illness and raising awareness of what it's like to live with what it's like to live with chronic illness. So and obviously mine's slightly different to yours, but I feel like we share similarities, don't we? So
yeah, we do, because I know with Crohn's that there's a chance of getting diabetes, a part of that. So if you just want to explain a little bit about you, maybe a bit about yourself, Chris.
Yeah. So September 1999, as an 8-year-old, style from what I was expecting as a kid. One of these kids that used to run around playing football and caring. And it kind of runs in my family. So I've had before me, and clearly skipped a generation and landed with me. And I feel like they should be talked about as well. So I was really thirsty, I was thinner, I was needing the toilet more, and I was more tired. So those are the kind of 4 diabetes, and how people may be referred in the August and September of 1999. And these I suppose with it being the summer, it might glucose test and a blood test and a urine sample, and pretty much straight experience and a time of your life you never forget, and something that I don't easily forget, and nor does my family. But from that week that I spent in hospital with being diagnosed and getting used to the condition was I played it on the Friday night, and I think that was really a demonstration of what my life was going to be like with the condition after that. One of my my first 2 questions when I was diagnosed was, as an 8-year-old, am I going to die? They said, no, you're going to be all right, we're going to find a way to manage. And now obviously commonplace assured me that. The next question was, can I still play football? Football. So I use that with the condition and some of the tough times. And for me, that Friday night where I went out and played only a few days after being diagnosed, it really changing moment with being diagnosed with the condition. So I think that was of what it was like, and it was tough. Stigma, stereotype around diabetes is a lot of people have an opinion on what it it's things like all of these sorts of and also when you're using a needle in public, when you're injecting, people calling you a drug addict and stuff like this. So I've had to growing up, and luckily for me, kind of went on push past it. It's not been easy, but I've done relatively well in coming out of the other end with and doing some stuff in sport, and also now giving back in sport as well for people like me with my condition, with some of the work that I now do in the community.
Yeah, I think it's great when you you do like lots of work for like a particular cause that you're passionate about. Because like with my Crohn's, I would have thought I would speak to many other people. Um, like many chronic illnesses, you don't really know many people to start, like when you're diagnosed with it, and it can
Mm,
be hard. Like medication you take that dampens your immune system, and um, even before COVID times, that it was always a risk, like having a cold, and um, so it is pretty like I like having Crohn's. So like like I think most people nowadays will say they like having their chronic illness that they have, due to spread awareness of it and to meet other people. But on the other side, that's only on your good days. I think if you're having a bad day and you're not going to be too happy, are you?
change it now. I think it's shaped me as a person. It's developed me into who I am today, and what I've had to face has come. So I'm thankful that I was given this chronic illness, but I think on the tough days, I definitely would agree. I think, it's there's so many different challenges. There's pain, there's challenges, but I think what I always say is like, happen that are good in life, things that you're proud of, things that you're happy with, it makes them feel even better because over felt in moments where I've pushed myself or delivered on. Um, I've always felt really proud because I know what I've had to do to get there, and it's overcoming diabetes is just just to get through a day, let alone something you're really proud of.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you have to think like that if you're going to get it for a day, because it is a fear, like
Yeah.
that you could like die, or like I know of Crohn's, like um I didn't know what it was
Mm,
when I had it. Well, when I was diagnosed, I had to have all these tests to decide what it is, because a lot of chronic illnesses can go misdiagnosed. I suppose I'm thankful I only have one, because I know people that have more than one, which can disrupt treatment. Like if you're taking one piece of treatment, that could affect another chronic illness. So in a way, I'm happy that I've only got one, but I wouldn't say I've got a very good one.
yeah, and it's difficult, isn't it? I feel like they've all got their real pitfalls and their downfalls. I don't think you would pick any other illness over another one. I feel like they're all equally pretty nasty in their own way. And yeah, I mean, type 1 diabetes, I spend how many injections? Probably 6, 7 injections a day, um, to just stay alive. So for some people, they would look at that and go, wow, that is not for me. But that's my chronic illness. I've been doing that since I was 8 or 9 years old. So I think it is difficult to say what you would or wouldn't do, or which one you would pick or not pick, but they're all equally pretty challenging. And I think we, as people living with chronic illness, should be, in some ways, the way that we go about our lives and the way that people push themselves and do things, and get through days with what we're faced with is admirable. And I think there should be more praise on people with chronic illness, because what we have to deal with and what we have to put up with sometimes is crazy.
Yeah.
It really is. It's mad.
Yeah, it definitely is crazy. And like with your injections, Chris, do you have set times in the day to take them, or do you normally just take them all at once?
Yeah, so with the injections, I take them around food. So I tend to, what I need to do is like, I have to count out how much carbohydrate I'm eating in each meal. And as a result of that, I then dose my insulin according to the nutritional information of my food that I'm going to consume. Also trying to take into account other variables like physical activity, maybe the weather, maybe if I'm about to go do something in particular, maybe when the last time I ate. So there's lots of different variables, but essentially I'm mostly injecting around when I'm eating food, because I have to. Insulin basically moves glucose from the bloodstream into your muscles and cells to be used as energy. So I inject insulin to try and help glucose move from obviously the bloodstream, and it breaks down from carbohydrate, and carbohydrate is in most foods. So I'm constantly carb counting the food that I'm eating to ensure I can dose correctly to try and stay on a level which is comfortable for me. I'm trying to ensure that I stay above 4 millimoles. This is in the UK, in the way that we calculate our sort of blood glucose level. So it's above 4, and then I'm trying to stay below 10. So that's my aim. Your body, Mason, obviously is doing that automatically, so I'm trying to do it manually. So that's the kind of way that we're doing it with type 1 diabetes. That's the way we have to tackle life.
Yeah, like in the way of foods, like for me, like what I take on a daily basis would be, might be equivalent. Well, obviously I don't do like I don't have diabetes, so it won't be the same. But I would take my medication in the morning. I have asthma, so I would take my inhaler. I have nowadays I have one pump because I'm not as bad as I used to be. Like when I was a baby, I was diagnosed with asthma, so I was really bad then. So like I would stay away from cats because I'm allergic to that, pollen. But
Yeah.
I have that once a day now. I normally tend to have it in the morning, so I don't have to worry about it at night. I would normally have it twice a day. Like if I was really coughing on, I was quite bad, but now it's just one, and I'll take my allergy like to help with the pollen or like the different kind of allergies. So I have that in the morning, and then I'll have like my Crohn's tablets in the morning. So like azathioprine, um, B12, and vitamin D, which I have as well. I have that at night as well, so I have that at night time. So not much to think about at night, but in the morning is quite a busy time for me. Like so I have to wake up pretty early, as we should anyway. But sometimes you might have a lay-in. Like I can't as much have a lay-in because if I forget my tablets, so say on a weekend I woke up about 1:30. I was having a nice lay-in. I shouldn't really do that because I'll be disrupting my tablet pattern because I like to have it at the same near enough the same time every day. So if I'm changing times for a day off, that would disrupt the pattern.
Yeah, no, I've got a similar patterns as well. So I have a background insulin, which is at the same time every day. So I inject it in the evening around somewhere between 8 and 10 in the evening generally.
Yeah.
And the rest of the time I just inject around food. But yeah, you kind of get into patterns and routines, and I feel like that's something that we do with chronic illness anyway, is that we get into patterns and we get into routines because sometimes it just makes our life easier. It makes it more manageable, it makes it more predictable, and that's what I find with type 1 is that if I get into patterns and I use particular foods and my day and the hours that I'm doing my injections in are similar, it gets a bit more predictable. It gets a little bit easier the day to manage. So I think we do that, don't we? I think we get into routines and we get into places where it just helps us get through. It makes everything a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, and like every 2 weeks I'll have my Humira injections, which I have. So yeah, I have them every Thursday. I used to have them every Friday, but I think like I kind of count Friday as a weekend day because I don't have college that day or I don't work on those days, so I'll count it as a weekend. So I don't really want to be having an injection, which I'll normally do about 12 o'clock on a Thursday, um, um, or like just after 3 sometimes. But I think it's like I don't actually inject them myself, but I think that's kind of goal for me this year to try and inject myself because I fear injecting myself because it's in my thigh, and has to be in a specific position.
Yeah.
Like I could do it on my belly, but I always felt I've done it. I nursed did that once when I started these Humira injections, and because each time It can cause pain, um, but luckily enough, I don't see the needle, so that helps. It's like an EpiPen type form,
Yeah.
so it's easier.
Mm. Yeah, I think there's an element where you just kind of there's a challenge, isn't there, to overcome, and it's kind of like getting your head around different challenges and what and how to approach different situations. And obviously, when I started on injections as a kid, I didn't really have any choice. I had to do it immediately. Um, I didn't start injecting myself for a little while, so it was kind of my parents were doing it, but I hated it. I didn't like injections. Most people don't. I hated them for ages, and you just get used to it. It's like all of a sudden it just becomes habit, and that's all it is for me now. When I'm doing my own injections, I've been doing that since I was probably 10. So we're talking like 20 years I've been doing them. So it's once you just do it and once you get into the habit and you get used to it, you kind of just it's like clockwork. It's just life, isn't it?
Yeah,
You just carry on.
yeah. The thing about when you have Crohn's, like you fear, like you probably know you're not going to be on this medication forever, so you
Yeah,
fear like like in my mind, like knowing that probably, I say probably something might go wrong this year because everyone always does go wrong at some point. Um, last year I had a little bit of a flare. So I had a sigmoid. I had like a just so that they could see what's going on, and
mm,
it looked all okay, but they didn't look through the whole bowel. Because Crohn's is from like well my form of Crohn's, because the things with Crohn's, it affects everyone differently. So my Crohn's won't be the same as someone else's. But
yeah,
like me and you, although we have like you have diabetes and I have Crohn's, we have similar things. So that's
mm,
why I like to find with other people who have Crohn's as well. So they might be on the same medication as me, but
yeah,
I know I was on an infliximab before I was on Humira, and I know someone from America that has been on it for a fair few years, and it didn't work for me, but it worked for her. So it's nice to
yeah,
hear a drug like that works, but I kind of feel like it was good that I had that reaction, so I don't
yeah.
have to go into hospital, so I can just do my injections at home.
Yeah. And don't you find it funny how like you get into conversations with people that live with your illness and you go and you start talking about medical terms and you start talking about medication. And when you're talking to somebody with your chronic illness, it's just not like all of a sudden it's normal. But if anybody was to listen to you having that conversation, they'd be like, Nova Rapid, Traceba, Lantus, Fiasp. What are these words that you're talking about? And talking about basal and bolus, and these are words that are just related to like diabetes. And
Mm,
for me, if I was to say that to somebody else with type 1 diabetes, they would know exactly what I was talking about. And like you were talking about there, Mason, you were talking about medications and stuff. I bet you, if you said that to somebody you were talking about those medications to somebody with Crohn's, they would be like,
yeah,
yeah, I know exactly what
yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah.
talking about. But for me, like, because I'm obviously in the diabetes community, I'm listening, going, I don't know what the medications do or the mean, but it's funny because like there's lingo and there's language that's just specific to your community and words that your community understand that maybe others don't. So it's really interesting. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's the way it is, isn't it? I suppose
yeah,
we
I suppose so. Like, it's hard to explain to someone who doesn't have a clue what you're talking about.
yeah,
Like they say that you'll find that possibly like because Crohn's it does sometimes run in the family, but not all the time. I've heard a lot of Crohn's people that it hasn't run in the family. Um, which I suppose it had. I would say it would help with like for example, like you said, diabetes does run in the family. Um,
mm,
and I suppose it does help when you have a family member that has the same condition that you do. So you kind of you feel you're not as alone, but it's always good to have a good support system.
mm. I think that's the key, isn't it? Sometimes the support system, having good people around you. My mom and dad were always really good with me growing up, helping me manage the condition and um, yeah, bailing me out when it went wrong and helping me through it. And they still help in this day. At my age now, they'll still help. They don't need to help like they used to. I manage it completely, but if there's a moment where I need some support, they'll always be there, and I'm sure
Yeah.
I think that's the one thing about families with chronic illnesses. You can just see how much they've supported over the years, and how much I appreciate that. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
like, you've got a deep appreciation for what your mum or your dad or whoever brought you up, how they did it with managing a chronic illness as well as
Yeah.
just bringing up a child. Like,
Yeah.
it's incredible what they do. And I think that those parents that help bring up a child with a chronic illness or any illness or disability deserve so much credit, because it is just not easy at all.
Yeah. And but they were the people that saw like that saw what was going on as well. Like for me, I didn't have a clue what was going on. Um,
Yeah.
I was 16, so I wasn't old.
Mm.
Um, so I say I'm not old, probably older than like quite young. But from that, the signs were I lost a lot of weight.
Mm.
I wasn't eating, um, and I was tired, and I had some pain. And the pain didn't start straight away. It kind of going through the photos in year 2017 when I was diagnosed, I could see the signs, and like I wasn't eating. I was putting liquid drinks, which I didn't like, so I kind of had to eat. And to go for a kind of loss of B, of course, you have to be empty on your insides, and I was empty anyway, so I still had the prep that you would have to have a kind of loss of B, but I didn't really need it really because I was empty. But they were the signs which I didn't really notice at first. And
Mm.
bloating was another one where you would eat a little bit and you'd be full. Um, and holding, at this point I still went into school and stuff, so I still went in to try and do things because I was new. I would have had to catch up anyway. So
Mm.
which I suppose is it's a good thing getting diagnosed younger in life than you are when you're a bit older, like maybe you're in your 50s.
Yeah. Yeah, difficult. I think it's I don't know. I mean, for me, I would have maybe have preferred to have been diagnosed as an adult when I with type 1, rather than going through childhood.
Yeah, yeah,
I think it's maybe because of the way that diabetes is stigmatized.
yeah,
So the way that people view people living with diabetes is quite negative generally. There's quite a negative connotation for the word diabetes, and I've faced a lot of that growing up, and it didn't help me at all. So kids are quite unkind. They don't really know any better. Sometimes there's an element of like bullying and name calling, and it was an easy one. They could always take a chip out of me by, saying something about my diabetes, and,
yeah,
saying you're a drug addict, or yeah, just stuff like that really used to wind me up. And you don't get that as an adult. People don't come up to you in the street as an adult and go, "What
mm,
on earth are you doing there? You're a druggie, and were you a fat kid when you were younger?" People, adults don't do that. So children do, because they don't know any better. So I think I would have faced less stigma and less stereotypes if I was diagnosed as an adult. However, would I have got used to it so quickly? It's tough. Kids are more resilient, kids are more adaptable. And I think as a child, you roll with it and you just do it and you carry on. As an adult, when you've built up your whole life and your routines and who you are as a person, then all of a sudden this thing comes into your life. I think it would be difficult as well. But I mean, I don't know. I don't think there's ever a good time to be diagnosed with a
no,
chronic
no, no,
illness. But I think for me personally, I think I would have preferred to have been diagnosed as an adult over being diagnosed as a child. But
yeah,
you don't get to pick.
no, no,
Obviously,
no.
we don't get to pick, do we, Mason? So
That would be nice.
in hindsight, I would have loved to have been able to. If I was going to get it, I'd have loved to have told God or whoever decides when I was going to get it, and I would have chose probably a few years ago, but not 22 years ago. So
Yeah,
yeah, but it's yeah, we don't get that
no,
luxury of choosing, do we? So
no, no. Like I suppose there's high and lows if you think about it. Like with each chronic illness, getting diagnosed quite young is I suppose because I was diagnosed with autism when I was 9, so
mm,
I suppose I haven't really had, or even though like with autism, it goes with like a routine. That's why I like having a routine and stuff,
Mm.
and stuff in the right places and stuff like that, and like don't like noises. So in that way, I was diagnosed with autism when I was 9. So, and then trying to get used to it, trying to accept it. Then I get diagnosed with Crohn's when I was 16. So there's not a right time to get diagnosed. Like really, I would have probably liked to get diagnosed a bit later in life. But on the other hand, I suppose in a way is a good way, so you know more about it. Otherwise, when you're older, you're not going to know as much more. But I
Mm.
think that there's no good way to look about it. But unfortunately, we can't choose. It'd be nice if we could. I would choose not to have it.
Yeah, if we could choose, I'd probably get rid of it, to be fair.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
mean, it's brought a lot of good things into my life as well at the same time. So I will be thankful for it in some ways. But if I had an overall choice to not have a life with a chronic illness, I probably would have done. But I am very thankful for some of the things that it has brought my way as well.
yeah, yeah. Like I wouldn't have probably created a account about Crohn's awareness at all.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have met all the great people that I've spoken to.
Hmm.
Probably wouldn't have been on your podcast either.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, these are the things that this is the things to be thankful for, and like me, the same kind of things, Mason. I wouldn't have started a charity, if you like, or a
Mm,
charitable foundation and an organization to support people with diabetes, the diabetes football community. I wouldn't have done that. So that's been an amazing vehicle and an amazing support mechanism for people with the condition. I wouldn't have done our own podcast within that. So I run the Diabetes Dugout podcast as well.
mm,
And then I wouldn't have got involved in Chronic Power, the podcast that you came on. And in some ways, I think it also pushed me as well. It drove me. So I got a lot of determination and a lot of let's call it inspiration from the fact that I was living with diabetes. I wanted to overcome it. I wanted to push past it. I wanted to make sure that even though the condition is designed to hold me back, I wanted it to propel me forward. And yeah, I used it as motivation. It was like a fuel to the fire that I had, and it helped me really in some of the dark moments when it's hard, or the injuries that I might have had in sport, and also to push me to believe that I can keep going,
yeah,
even when it hurt. I could keep going because I know what real pain's like, and I know what real struggle is like because of what I have to go through every day. So you almost know that in sport it's just temporary pain. It's
yeah,
not like what you get with a chronic illness where it's continuous. That's
yeah,
permanent. Like what you live with that doesn't go anywhere. So with
yeah,
sport and physical activity, I always knew it is like, well, this pain is only here for a time because it's sport. It'll diminish in a minute, and that helped me, push myself, and it motivated me to go on and do what I did in sport, and try and get to my mountaintop, if you like.
yeah, yeah. Like you, like in sport, like I always think when you are in pain, with a chronic illness, I always find if you like focus on your interest, like football, and
Mm,
that you don't have as much. I think the more you think about something, the more it will probably hurt. Although it will still hurt, but if you focus on other things like football, like I like football as well. Like before all this pandemic started, I was doing football coaching. Um,
yeah.
for like a local football club. And I enjoyed that, and unfortunately I had to
Mm,
stop because of the pandemic and it being very close contact. So um,
yeah.
I couldn't go back. Well, I haven't really been back since, and
Mm,
like like hope things do improve. So don't like lots of things have been put off due, due to what's happened. But yeah, like before about I think 2019, I did my FA level 1 coaching course.
yeah.
So I got that out of the way, and it's pretty fun. You
Mm,
do first aid, um, which my legs really hurt after that because I suffer from joint pains as well. So being on the same position for a while didn't wasn't nice for my legs.
yeah.
um, but but
No.
yeah, but yeah, like football is something I love, and I know it's something you love. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's been the light sometimes in the dark for me, when it's been really tough with chronic illness, like you said, Mason. Like, you use the things you enjoy and the things that you hold dear. You use it as like the reason that you keep going through when it is really hard. And you're an Ipswich Town fan, are you,
Yeah,
Mason? I think I
yeah,
saw
yeah,
that.
yeah. I am.
Yeah, Ipswich Town. How are they getting on this season?
Well, they got rid of the manager, so they got a new one now. So hopefully, well, he's done pretty well so far. He's
Yeah.
the former well, he was at Man United quite a lot. So hopefully, he brings some of the Man United youth players, maybe in the current transfer window, and then improve the squad because they spent quite a lot in the summer. They had like over 20 signings, so a lot of new people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. But I'm a Villa fan, so
Villa.
Aston
Yeah,
Villa's my team. So, but
yeah,
yeah, even just watching your team sometimes helps you out, doesn't it? You know, I used to go and watch Villa more regularly when I was young. I haven't watched them so much as an adult because I've mostly been playing, and it's clashed with most of the games at times. And I need to go a bit more. Now I'm in my 30s, and hopefully I will get to go and see Villa a bit more. But yeah, it's the passion sometimes and those things that help you when it is tough. You know, you've got things to look forward to, and going to a football match on a Saturday, getting to go down to Villa Park, or it's Portman Road, isn't it?
yeah, yeah,
Ipswich.
yeah.
Yeah, Portman
That's
Road. So
it.
getting yourself down to Portman Road or Villa Park, yeah, it's always something to look forward to. The buzz of the crowd, the
Yeah,
goals that go in, hopefully for your team. You know, it's excitement, and those are the things that we all live for. So yeah, I think it's helped me from that perspective. Obviously, I've got to do some cool things with football and futsal as well. So it's been from a playing perspective, I've enjoyed it as well as it having a real big impact on me and watching it as well.
yeah, yeah. Like with Aston Villa, they're doing all right at the moment. Like they got
Yeah,
Steven Gerrard, and he's done pretty good. Um,
yeah.
since
No,
he's
Gerard's doing all right at the moment. Brought in
yeah,
some good players as well.
yeah,
Philippe Coutinho's not bad, is he?
yeah, yeah. Buying might be some more like good like former players he used to play with. Um,
Yeah.
I think I saw they were linked with Luis Suarez as well.
Yeah, that'd be a bit mad, I think, if we could
Yeah,
get Luis Suarez, but I'll
yeah,
take it.
yeah,
Definitely
yeah,
take it. He's better than all of our other forwards at the moment,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
by a distance.
When I was younger, I went to see Manchester United versus Aston Villa,
Did you?
and that was it was at Old Trafford. It was, and it was one of Sir Ferguson's last game, and it was a brilliant game, not for Aston Villa, but for Man United because that was when Wayne Rooney did a volley to Robin van Persie. He scored that great volley,
Oh, yeah,
um,
yeah, I
and
remember it. Yeah,
it's
not a great game
yeah,
for us, that
yeah,
one,
I
Mason.
know.
Not a great game.
Yeah,
There aren't many good games for us at Old Trafford.
no,
We normally get absolutely hammered there, but
no.
this season we did win there, so that was a rare occasion.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they don't seem to as well nowadays. So I probably went for the only game I've been to Old Trafford was probably the best one. um,
Yeah,
because like when I was growing up, I did follow Man United quite a bit, but
mm,
now I've got older, I've like supporting Ipswich Town. It's not pretty. Because they're more excited to watch under the new manager, but
yeah,
with the old one, it was actually pretty nice because I like to meet all the new Ipswich Town like managers because uh, uh, I like to see them and that and like like um like I've got a season ticket as well, so I haven't been
yeah,
this year. I didn't go for the last end of last year as well, due to because of COVID and everything. And like
mm,
I would wear a mask there, and it will be a bit irritating wearing it for the whole game, and
yeah,
not everyone else will wear one, because it's not law anymore. But it is hard. Like I enjoyed going if they won, but I'd normally leave about 10 minutes early just
yeah.
so I don't catch the crowd.
Mm. Tough being an Ipswich fan. It's been tough being a Villa fan though recently as well. So it's nice to see us sort of progressing backwards because we did spend a few years in the Championship and that wasn't as nice as what it used to be like with being a Villa fan. So it's nice to see us back doing what
Yeah.
we do.
I feel they always remind me of a team that are always trying to survive relegation from the Premier League. But now they're saying of a more team that could possibly, with the new signings they got and the way they've been playing, like especially against Man United in the cup, which that they looked the better team, and I think they drew in the end, didn't they? Come back from 2-0 down, which Man
Yeah, that
United
was in
shouldn't won really.
yeah, that was in the league. We drew 2-2. We lost in the cup 1-0, even though we outplayed Man United at Old
Yeah,
Trafford. So
yeah,
yeah, it's we're looking more attractive now as a team now. Gerrard's in charge, which is quite cool,
yeah.
and I'm excited to see what he does. Actually, hopefully we have a good second half of the season, and then the summer comes around and we can go and spend some more money and see what we can do next season.
Yeah, because like I think out of all the all the managers like who have recently retired, like Gerrard, Frank Lampard, Rooney, even though Rooney's done a really good job with Derby, um, like I think all of them, like Steven Gerrard, has probably come out off better than like the others because with Frank Lampard he left Derby and went to Chelsea, which personally I thought if he would have stayed with Derby another year he could have gotten promoted. Um,
Mm.
but Wayne Rooney's doing a really good job. Like if he keeps Derby up, it'll probably be one of the best escapes.
Yeah, it will be a
Yeah,
big job if he manages
yeah,
to pull that one off.
yeah,
Yeah, he's done well at Derby, and hopefully they do. I think they've been hard done by the EFL, and I do hope that in some way that they can sort of survive it. Um, they kind of mugged off a team that I follow quite closely, Wycombe Wanderers, which is in your league as well,
yeah,
Mason, because I'm from that way. I was
yeah,
born down that area of the country, so yeah, Wycombe's one of the teams that I follow. So yeah, I'm not so happy with Derby because last year they managed to stay up and at Wycombe's expense. But in some ways, the way that Rooney's approaching it and the way that Derby's a big club as well, you don't want to see it sort of die out and be
no,
absolutely ruined by the EFL either. So it's kind of, yeah, I do hope they do all right, but I guess it's proofs in the
obviously,
pudding. We'll see what
yeah.
happens.
I'm not a like I don't really like Wickham only because
Oh, oh,
only because when when they got promoted that year, I
yeah,
think Ipswich weren't that far from the playoffs, and like they would keep fouling our players. Wickham were like every time Ipswich get the ball, the ref would give it their way, and like every time because Ipswich beat Wickham twice in the league this year, so they played them twice and beat them twice. So I'm happy about that, but like every year of Ipswich now, because they've been in League One a few years, you say to them, "Oh, this is our year. We'll go up this year." Every year, and they could still get in the playoffs this year, but they have to go on a nice winning run to do that. And they have beat like they're not ones for being the teams at the top of the near the top of the table, but they have beat some of the big ones like the beating Wickham, been a bit
mm,
unfortunate against some teams, um, but yeah, it's like it's missed when you like with Aston Villa. Um, like I like the derby games when your team plays in the derby. Like you got Norwich who always seem to go back up. um,
yeah,
which well I do think there should be some kind of rule like if like because you got Norwich, Derby, West Brom, you always see them three going up and down, and like
yeah.
it'd be nice to see other teams have a chance.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, isn't it? They just
Mm.
seem to they're too good for the championship, but they're not quite good enough for the Premier League, and that seems
Mhm.
to be the way that happens, especially Norwich and West Brom and Fulham seem to be a
Mm.
team like that as well at the moment, up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
There's a few of them, isn't there?
Yeah, it'd be nice to see a few new teams like in the Premier League. Like I think Stoke have been missed for a fair few years because I do like Stoke. Like so some family members always have a joke at me like because I always go on about Stoke. Well, like I do like Stoke. I like Stoke when I had Peter Crouch and um like on FIFA sometimes I would be
Mm.
Stoke just to wind people up. but but it's good. Like Man City look like they're gonna do well for the next few year seasons. Um,
Mm.
hopefully not doing Man United win like 20 in a row or something like that. but
Hopefully
yeah,
not. Hopefully not.
but
Hopefully one of the other teams nicks a title off them.
yeah, yeah, but like with when you played like futsal. Like, how did that like impact like with your diabetes?
Yeah, so it's tough because there's like football and futsal, and they impact on my diabetes in different ways. So because football is a little bit of a longer game, and you can walk, you can jog, and you can sprint all within the same game. My levels tended to sort of drop, and over a period of time, and you need to manage it a lot as well. You need to be checking all of the time, just trying to get your levels into a sweet spot where you know that you can play well. So it's difficult to do that on a consistent basis. So I'd get some games spot on, I'd get other games slightly wrong, and then you'd get some where you know it went really badly. So but you learn over years. Trial and error really helps. So over many years of trying it, you get better and better, and your routines
Yeah,
get better to manage it. So I always try to get into a routine to help me manage football and futsal. And yeah, I think with futsal, the intensity is quite high on the
yeah,
sport. So it used to make my glucose levels spike. So I would actually have to inject to try and manage that sport. Whereas with football, I would end up having to eat at half time some more glucose to try and manage that sport. So they're quite similar in obviously with the objective, keep the ball in the goal, but actually the impact that they had on me with my chronic illness is very different, just because of the
mm,
way the intensity of the exercise or the activity really, you know, it has a different impact on the body. So yeah, I would have
yeah,
to manage in slightly different ways for both sports, but I always just try and ensure that I have my insulin around injection so I can, you know, inject to bring my levels down if I need to. If I've got my glucose, sugary bits and pieces around me as well, in case my levels drop too low and I need to increase them. As long as I've got all of that around me and my testing kit, so I can check what my levels are. As long as everything like that is around me, I will be fine, and I know how to, you know, manage the situation to try and get the best sort of performance out of my body that my body will allow for. So yeah, I kind of have managed it like that, I guess, over many years. But you learn a lot from just trying it, Mason, to be honest, and just giving
yeah,
it a go and seeing how your body reacts.
yeah. It is like it's hard because like each sport is different and like it will impact you in different ways because like with like it's always been the case with me. Like every time I play football or do some sort of sport, I'll get my legs would ache for days and like nothing to do. It's just to do with like me, I suppose. Like with have how the joints like really impact me. So I'll try my hardest on um try try my hardest I can be, and then I won't be doing much for the next couple of days. I'll be struggling to walk and stuff. So which once actually I did go to hospital due to the fact that I couldn't walk and never found out the reason why that happened. But I didn't do any sports or anything
Mm,
near that time, so that was a mystery why that happened.
mm. Yeah, sometimes it's just seeing how your body responds, isn't it? You know, our
Mm.
bodies respond in different ways to different activities. Sometimes the body likes it and is okay with it. Other times the body really does not like it, and it lets you know. And it sounds like it let you know that on that occasion, Mason, that it did not like whatever you'd done.
No, no, it didn't. And when nurses and people like because they're going to put like because if you don't move well, you'll risk getting blood clots and stuff, and they're going to put an injection in me. And I said, no, no, I'm okay. I'll just try and walk a little bit because I didn't want any more injections.
Mm,
I'm used to having injections as it is, so more
yeah,
I didn't really want. So I
no,
would get
definitely
up.
not.
I need to get up and waddle, I would say. I did because I couldn't completely walk. But and then eventually I did walk all of a sudden, and then I'm off home. So and then not able to find out what happened, having X-rays and all tests and all sorts. I was there, but like it's it's one of those things where like as you say, you're so like it wasn't working and so sun was up that we'll probably won't know.
Mm,
Yeah, but but yeah, like with Crohn's and and like sports, like with any chronic illness, you try to still try and do what you want to do, like not trying to make a chronic illness stop you, although it may sometimes, like if you're maybe in a flare or something where you're unable to do something, um, like if you're in a lot of pain and you can't, but if you like, I suppose it's like we say, like set yourself a few goals, and then try and get to them,
Mm,
and stuff.
yeah, yeah. You kind of you push yourself, don't you? You try and using it. I use it as a motivation, and I always felt, obviously, my condition, like you said there, Mason, it's going to hold you back at times. It's going to cause you problems. It's going to cause you issues, but you work out the best ways to manage it in different situations as you get more and more experience with it. And I think the years and years passed with me living with the condition. I'd had it for so long, and you get into sort of 15 to 20 years experience with it, and by that time I was sort of pushing myself to play in sport. That was my goals and my objectives. And I set my sights on becoming a Wales futsal international. So that was my big goal, if you like, and I had that opportunity, and I was lucky enough to do it and play for the country 10 times in futsal. First person to do it with living with diabetes. I think the first person to do it with any hidden disability. And you I've used it as as I said earlier, like the fuel to the fire to motivate me to do it. Also just learned as best I could about my condition, and also just been know full well that some days my recovery won't be as good as other people's because of what I live with. Um, Knowing that I'm going to be tested by my condition some days and I'm not going to be able to do anything about it. I might have a hypo in the middle of the night and that wipes me out. I can't change that. I just have to respond to it. And it's just being patient with yourself, knowing that you couldn't change that situation and it's happened now and you've just got to deal with it. And I think that was, my approach has always been like that with my condition. I'm just bringing it along. I'm just going to
Mm.
do the best that I can with it, and I'm just going to keep plowing on towards my goals and my objectives in my life, because you only get one go, don't you? You get one go at this life, and if you've got the opportunities and the desire and the skill set or belief that you can do something, then you've got to go for it. And for
Yeah,
me, it was like I just rolled the dice and just gave it everything I had for a few years to try and push myself to the limits of what I was capable of. And I think chronic illness motivated me to do that. Living with diabetes motivated me to push myself to that limit. I don't know if I would have played for Wales as many times as I did without having type 1 diabetes in futsal. It motivated me heavily, and I think that if there's other people out there that do sport with chronic illness, I think it motivates all of us.
yeah, yeah. I think it's a good way to be, because you don't want to be all like feeling sorry for yourself all the time, and you don't really want other people to like
No.
you have a number of people in your life that who will support you, which you wouldn't like ask like them, I suppose, to help, like if they didn't want to, but it's just the people who's in your life that will support you, the people that won't, because you don't want, like, I know I don't want people feeling sorry for me. I won't go on about to a friend about my Crohn's. I may during a pandemic, because that's different. If I can't make like people normally my friendship group are meeting without me, because I just can't be that at risk, and
Mm,
other people don't have a chronic illness like me, so
yeah.
I don't find many in my normal friendship group that do. Um, um, there may be family members of friends and stuff, but I don't know about you, but in the Crohn's community, in the IBD community, you always find, if you mention like my condition to someone else that like you just talked to in the street maybe, or a friend, that they'll say that like oh yeah, my friend has that, and so that would be a common response.
Mm, yeah, I get quite a lot of oh, my granddad's got diabetes, or my my cousin's dad's got it, or you get a lot of, oh, they've got diabetes, and you're like, well, they have got diabetes, but do they have the same type as me? Because They probably don't. And I always feel that that's a challenge with chronic illness, is that people are always trying to like compare what they're like and how they are, and rather than just accepting that they are a certain way, and the challenges we face on a day-to-day basis should be just allowed for, rather than trying to one up and try and make one sound more difficult than another or one more challenging. They are all difficult. They are all equally a challenge. And I think we just need to get to a place where we're accepting of that.
Yeah, that's it, because it's the same with Crohn's. Like, there's different types. Like, mine is, I'm told, the worst one that you can possibly get, so that's not good. But
Oh,
it's called patchy pans. It's called, and where it affects like from the mouth to all the way down to the bottom,
yeah.
and which isn't nice. And I'm quite fortunate, because I've never had surgery, and it's quite likely if you're diagnosed quite young. So I'm most likely to have it in my life, but I'm quite lucky that I would, ever since I got diagnosed, I wouldn't say I've been as bad as when I was diagnosed. I've had rough moments and stuff where things may have not worked, but not as bad as when I was diagnosed. So I'm quite grateful for that, and grateful in a pandemic as well, because I know people do get diagnosed with Crohn's, diabetes, some different chronic illnesses as well during a pandemic, which can be hard because if something goes wrong, you have to stay in hospital, and it's something you don't want to do, especially if it's a time where pandemic cases are quite high. And because I know when I had my procedure last year, I had to take, because I had gas in air for the first time, so I had to take my mask off to do that. And I remember the difference from having sedation and gas in air, because sedation I didn't remember much, and with gas in air I did. So like
Yeah.
it's fairly different, but I think like it's hard to, I suppose that there's going to be good and bad moments with when you have your chronic illness.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I remember once, Chris, and I was in college, and I because fatigue is a massive part of Crohn's and many chronic illnesses, but it's one major symptom for me. Where so I was playing football. It was PE. It was, and we was in little groups, and I would say I was one of the main people because everyone's keep passing me the ball. So I was trying my best. I suppose I wanted to impress everyone, but I was scoring all the goals, and I was and then we got to this final match, and I was on the sideline because if you win, I think if you win, you stay on, and we lost a certain game, and because we won the most games in the end, we was on this final, and I said to teacher, I'm not gonna be able to do it. I'm shattered. I'm falling asleep here. Like I'm gonna go to sleep, because that's what fatigue's like. Worse than when before you're diagnosed, because I know everyone gets it, but it's just a lot more worse than that. But the thing was, the thing what got to me was, but I didn't want to cause an argument, because in my mind I couldn't really be asked to do that because I was so tired, and I knew if I said something, he would say something back. A very nice teacher though. He says and he I said, I can't continue. I'm shattered. Can someone else take my place? And then one thing he said was, "Are you going to let your teammates down?" And I was annoyed by what he said, but like I said, like I just couldn't be asked to argue with him, and then I just didn't answer.
Yeah, I've had a few of those as well in my life as well, where you feel it's easier to just say nothing rather than just try and fight your corner, because you can't be bothered to go through all of the pain of trying to explain it, or the anger, or the upset of having to explain it in front of people, and they're not really going to understand it anyway. So yeah, I understand that feeling, being there as well, Mason. I think we all get there with chronic illness.
And I did. I ended up taking part because which I shouldn't have felt like, because
Yeah,
like the
got
teacher found
pressured
me.
into it.
Yeah, he made me feel like I was being bad or something, like because I haven't taken part when he probably knew if I wasn't taking part, my team would have lost. So because but I do like I played football myself at school, like in the school
Yeah.
team. I was probably because I came from mainstream and I went to special school because of my autism.
Yeah.
And I played as a defender, and I can't shoot, but that's one reason why I was a defender. So I was always in defence or midfield, and I went in these mini tournaments. I wouldn't play the full 90 minutes. I couldn't do that, but like going to these mini tournaments, I was happy enough to win a few tournaments when I was at school.
Mm.
One was called Mess of Football, where you would take part with different schools, and and one moment in the final, it was quite funny because I was told to mark a certain player and the whole game, which I did, and at the end he got violent. He wasn't happy because we won the game in the end, because he couldn't he. Well, when someone's telling me it's a mark, I mean I'm not focused about getting the ball myself. I'm focused about marking that man, and so he doesn't get a touch, and that's what I did. So he didn't get a touch, and I might have got a few touches, but my main focus, because I was told he was the best player on their team, just to guard him, like he didn't get a touch. So he wasn't happy at the end, but we was all happy. I went up to him to try and shake his hand. Of course, this was before COVID times, because I wouldn't shake someone's hand now. I was more, if I did something like that, it'd more be like an elbow or something, or virtual high five. But I went over to high five, handshake him, and he wasn't really having it. He weren't happy, but I was happy to have. They're good memories to like when you win these competitions, when you take part in things.
Yeah, absolutely. Always good memories to have things like that, and you always find that people are bitter when you've given them a good tackle, Mason, or you've beaten them in a game. Nobody really wants to shake your hand at the end or fist pump you. Nobody's ever that happy to do it.
No. If you're winning, you might be though. You'll be like, "There you go."
Oh, if you're winning, you're more than happy to go and shake somebody's hand, or fist pump, or whatever it is these days. 100%.
Yeah, but I when I was younger, Chris, I went to like from primary school. There was I love football ever since then. Like I would do football camps, or like when I was younger with this particular coach, and I still know him now. And he was actually on telly. Like his team got to the FA Cup third round, and unfortunately they lost. It was on telly. They lost. But from him, like ever since, like because I went through the ranks, and like with the coaching and more like a PE lesson at school. But when I left, I was kind of gutted that I wasn't going to do it anymore. But fortunately, he does camps at different places, like in the summer holidays, which I went. And eventually, I kind of volunteered to help out, just because I loved it, and loved coaching and stuff. And so I did that, and so I've been doing that. And then I did get asked like 2020ish, and just trying to get in contact now. Hopefully more this year.
Are you going to go back to doing some coaching after
the
pandemic?
Yeah, like the guy asked if I wanted to work for him, which is great, and I said yes, but I'll get in touch at a time when it's more convenient and more like safer and stuff. Because I was doing quite a bit of coaching, and like I've got opportunities of different coaching stuff to do, not just football. I was going to do a course, which unfortunately I couldn't do due to COVID, which affected quite a lot of stuff. And I would probably not as taking much time as doing the podcast, which I would do. I do want to keep on the podcast, but I still want to have a job.
Other things you want to do as well. Yeah. Things. No, it makes sense.
Yeah, just to have more time now. Like I created it just after the pandemic started, having more time to do it, like doing a full long series, which people want to hear and stuff. So I just want to do other things and maybe travel a little bit. Because I like Doctor Who quite a bit, so I plan this year to go to Cardiff, because I visit the sites where they were filmed, and there's also a Doctor Who experience in Liverpool. So just different bits I want to do. And I'm 21 this year, so I want to do a few different things.
Gotta go and see it while you can, Mason. Gotta go and see it, especially if you've got a big birthday coming up like 21. You gotta go and make sure you make the most of it, haven't you?
Yeah, hopefully all things improve by then, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but yeah, just the last thing before we finish up, Chris.
Yeah.
Is there any advice or anything else you'd like to say for other people?
I think the key bit of advice I always say to people with any chronic illness is, find the things that you love doing, and make sure that the chronic illness comes along for the journey doing those things that you love doing. Try and make sure that you live life, take risks, do things, and ensure that you're trying to fulfill what you believe your potential is and your purpose is. Follow that, and yeah, just work with your chronic illness to ensure that you can go and make that happen. That's all that I try and do with my life, is just try and make sure that my diabetes comes along for the ride and I don't let it get in the way. And yeah, I work with it, and it does get in the way sometimes, but for the most part, it's there in the background.
Yeah, I think uh, that's some great advice there, Chris. And it's been great speaking to you, because it was nice coming on your podcast as well.
Yeah, no, appreciate you
Yeah,
coming on as well,
yeah,
Mason.
yeah. It's nice to have you on my one as well.
No,
But yeah,
you're welcome.
hopefully, I hope Aston Villa have a nice rest of the season.
Yeah, hopefully. And hopefully Ipswich do get into the playoffs and they'll play Wickham, and then you'll be delighted.
I won't be, I don't think, but hopefully avoid them. But saying that, we've beaten twice already, so I don't see
There
why
you
not.
go.
We
You
can't handle
good
them.
omens. Good omens.
Yeah, but thank you again, Chris. It's been great speaking to you, and continue all the wonderful work you do, like with your diabetes and all the awareness.
Appreciate it, Mason. Thanks for having
Thank
me on.
you.